Hi guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to continue with Chapter 5, and Chapter 5 is one of the ones that I've been waiting to share with you because I'm going to show you several different ways in which you can present your characters. I know a lot of you guys watching this series are character artists or would like to present their props or characters in a better light, right? Literally. So this character right here is a character I did a couple of years ago, and I had a friend of mine, his name is Jose Canales. He helped me with the clothing system. He did a clothing system using Marvelous, and the lightsaber, of course. So it's supposed to be like a Jedi Knight creature. I throw in a very quick rig. It's actually very dirty. Like, we can't really move him that much, but you guys are free to like tweak it if you want to. We're just gonna give it a very basic pose, and we're gonna be talking about the basics of the rendering process for characters. What are the kind of things that we wanna emphasize and make sure people know this about their characters. So the first thing, I actually want to go over how this whole thing is set up, because there is a couple of like interesting things going on here. If at any point during the project you can't find the textures, like you try to render and everything renders without textures, make sure to go here to Windows, General Editors, and File Path Editor, and just repath whatever is not there. Most of the textures that I'm using should be on source images, but in the next chapter, in the final chapter, some of the textures are actually not in source images, so you might need to repath them. Just select, look for them, repath, and that's it, because everything should be connected to the materials, and you should be able to access everything. Now, for this guy right here, he's actually using UDIMs, so his textures are quite a bit heavy. I want to give you guys the best possible result, the best possible quality, so he's using, I believe, like 4 or 5, 3. It's 3 4K textures, okay, for each map, so quite heavy, quite heavy. Again, everything should be set up, everything should be set up properly, so if you hit render, we should get, well, we should see something. Now, when we're presenting characters, one of the most like basic ways to present a character is through something called a clay render. I actually always recommend my students to do clay renders if their characters have no textures, but this character actually does have textures, so we should be able to do a very nice clay render. So a clay render is nothing more than a very simple setup that we can use to present our characters, as you can see right here, in a very nice way. And as you can see, something that's very common in clay renders is this background right here. This is called an infinite background. Well, I like to call it the infinite background. I've heard other names, like in Mexico here they call it ciclorama, which is just like it's a round corner, right? What we want to do is we want to create a plane, like I just did right there, move this edge all the way up, and then either move these edges a couple of more times, like so, or even beveling them should work just fine. You can scale this and decide where you want the shadow to be. It's, again, this is mainly the function of this plane is mainly to make sure that it looks like there's no hard line on the shadows on the background of the character, and that way the character is the main focus of the whole thing. I'm gonna create a new camera, so I'm gonna go rendering, camera, panels, look to selected, and we're gonna find one very full body shot. We haven't really talked about camera shots in regards to characters because we haven't had a character until now. So in the next video, I'm gonna go very quickly about some of the different cameras that we can have. This one is called a full shot camera, and as the name implies, the character is gonna be like fully on the shot. That's pretty much it. Nothing else. Now, for characters, and thanks to social media, one thing that you can actually do nowadays is change this to like a 1K composition. That way, the character is the focus of the shot, and we don't have a lot of extra elements. And the next thing I want to do, and this is very important, is whenever you're doing character renders and you just want to show the character as the character, like you don't want to make, or you don't want to be telling any stories or anything, I strongly recommend you use Studio HDRIs, like this one's right here. I personally love this one. This is Brown Photo Studio. It was added relatively recently. This one's also quite nice. This Brown Photo Studio 01, which has like wooden floors. It's going to make the colors a little bit duller, of course. My advice still stands as for the lights, like try to go for things that are not super contrasty, like this shadows right here could be a little bit difficult to control later on. So let's this one. Let's use Brown Photo Studio 1. I'm gonna download this real quick for you guys. Again, this HDRI is gonna be available. Oh, it's taking a little bit longer than usual. That's weird. I'm not downloading anything else. So this is going to be, as I mentioned, available for you guys in your source images folder, and you can download any other one that you might want from Polyhaven. Let me get this real quick here. There we go. Oh, we already had it. Cool. So here we're just going to go Arnold, lights, or actually, let me save this real quick. And now I'm going to save this as a different scene so that you have the infinite plane. This is going to be Ackrock Finish or Portrait. Let's go with it. There we go. So I'm gonna go Arnold, lights, Skydome light. And on the Skydome light, we're gonna load, of course, our very nice HDRI. So we go for the Brown Photo Studio. There we go. And that's it. Cool. Now, again, we need to decide where we want the light to be coming from. In this case, I'm going to go for the sort of like right side effect. And here's where the interesting bit's going to happen. If you go to Arnold and you go to utilities, there's this texture manager, and here you can see all of the textures that we're using, quite a bit of for them, right? Like we have all of these UDIMs for the character, and then all of these elements right here. As I mentioned, it is a little bit heavy, so if your computer can't handle it due to memory space, you might want to try and change the resolution. I always try to provide the best possible resolution, but I do know that it might be complicated sometimes. So I'm gonna say Arnold render, and we might get the little like texture file conversion. I'm actually also including the texture files, I think, for you, my friends. I don't remember if they were included or not, but if they are, that could like potentially make things a little bit easier. Let's take a look at the render here. Again, this is quite a heavy scene because we have a lot of elements, and that's also a little bit of the unfortunate side of renders. The more or the cooler you want your render to look, the more information and the more materials and stuff you're gonna have to add, right? And therefore, things are gonna get or become heavier and heavier. So yeah, this is it. It seems like the belt doesn't have the proper textures, so it's looking a little bit weird. And of course, we're gonna go to camera shape 1. There we go. And that's it. So this is one of the most common mistakes that people make whenever they're doing a character render. They just throw in an HDRI and they're like, that's it, I'm good, I like how this looks, no need to do anything else. And unfortunately, even though, yeah, it looks quite cool and it looks interesting, it's not there. Like we really need to push the lights a little bit more to create a more interesting effect. So I'm going to show you guys one of the most basics and most common ways to illuminate or light a character to get a good result. This is what I like to call, or here in Mexico we call it la vieja confiable, the old trustworthy method, which is the famous 3-point light. So in a 3-point light setup, what we're going to have, as the name implies, is 3 lights, 3 main lights, and the first one is going to be our key light. So I'm going to go to my HDRI and I'm going to actually turn it off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Arnold, lights, we're going to create a new area light, and we need to decide how we want this light to be. I'm going to be following, you guys remember when we did the little fruit bowl back in the beginning and we talked about Rembrandt? Well, Rembrandt not only used this claro-oscuro technique quite a bit, he actually popularized a very famous lighting technique that it's used today, like it's been used for several hundred years, which is this Rembrandt illumination. And the way this works is you're going to have a main point of light, just one point of light illuminating the character, and you're going to get this sort of like triangular shape underneath the eye that's on the shadows. Super common to find this sort of effect, this Rembrandt triangle, on a lot of stuff. If you've ever taken a photography class, you probably heard about this one. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna create a light. It's gonna be kind of high over here. I want to change this to a disc, so it's more like a spotlight. And I'm gonna move this around so that we can see, so we can hit that little triangle that I'm expecting to hit. Now, one thing that I didn't mention, the character can be moved a little bit. So for instance, if I grab like this 3 joints right here, I can rotate him slightly. That's going to give me a little bit of a different effect, of course. It's going to give me a little bit of this contrapposto. It's not rigged, like not all of the pieces are rigged. So for instance, the skirt here, we might need to just like move it around and just like tweak it so that it's not overlapping like the finger there. Just rotate a little bit. For instance, the head, we can move the head a little bit, just to make him look a little bit more alive, right? Like we don't want things to be like in a perfect T-pose. Now, of course, if that's changed, we might need to go to the camera and find like a good effect. Actually, I kind of like that one. Like looking to the side, looks quite interesting, quite like menacing. So there we go. Now, if we go to this one, we're of course gonna use a higher exposure. This guy is in real world scale, so you might need to use bigger numbers. And if we take a render, as you can see, this is what we get. He has a really shiny skin. He's supposed to be this sort of like amphibian character, as you probably can tell from the colors and stuff. So yeah, this is the character. I really like the light right now, but I think we can increase this a little bit more. Let's try 19. I think that's gonna be a little bit too much. Let's start lowering it. There we go. Let's go for a little bit of contrast, not that much, something like that. I think, yeah, there we go. Maybe 17. 17 is gonna work. There we go. Now, as we've mentioned before, depending on how we want the shadows to be, we can go for really soft shadows or really hard shadows. I do think I want a softer shadows, so I'm gonna go for a bigger form, and that's immediately gonna give me a softer shadow because there's more area on the light, and we get this very, very cool effect. I'm actually gonna break one of the rules that we've been using so far. I'm not gonna use temperature right now. I wanna show you the basics first, and then we're gonna tweak it up a little bit. So yeah, that looks good. Now we're gonna go to the photo studio, and the photo studio is gonna be the second light that we're gonna be using. There's a little bit of overlap on the code, so let's rotate this a little bit more, or just like bring it forward. As you can see the little overlap right there on those specific areas. There we go. So yeah, as I was mentioning, we are gonna be turning on our main element right here, our HDRI. The intensity is back on. And when we render, what's going to happen is now we're going to be combining two light sources. And it might not seem like it because the main light or the key light is actually coming from the same side as the other light. Am I not using GPU? Oh, I was not using GPU. There we go. Let's go render, or sorry, Arnold and render. Hopefully this doesn't break because it's against a lot of textures. There we go. So yeah, as you can see, we have two very cool lights coming, and you've seen these shots. You've seen these shots before, and the reason I'm super certain that you've seen this before is they do this all the time for photo shoots. So if you look for a Star Wars photo shoot, like magazine and stuff like that, they always do this sort of like characters on a white screen, just showing you how they are. I remember them seeing as a kid. I can't remember like exactly which magazine, but this kind of shots are really common in the industry, and they're really good because you can focus totally on the character. You can get to meet the character as a sort of way of appreciating what's going to be on the movie. So there we go. Now let's grab this one right here, and what I'm going to do, usually the field light, the main reason why we have a field light is because the field light will, as the name implies, feel the information or the areas of the character that are really dark. So if I render right now, on the other side, if I move this to the other side of the character, as you can see right here, the exposure of the window is going to pretty much get rid of those very nice shadows that we had on the character on this side. So in order to avoid that, we're definitely going to bring the exposure down because we do want to have a little bit of contrast, but not that much. There we go. So as you can see with a -2, we still get this very nice light information on the character where we're no longer like overriding this whole thing. You can go even darker, of course, like if you go to like a -4, for instance, it's going to be like, again, like super dark shadows. But the main reason why we have this sort of like field light is to make sure that the shadows are not as dark. So I'm going to keep this at -2. There we go. That looks really good. And finally, the last light that we're gonna be adding, and this is like the chef's kiss, is the little extra light that makes everything come together, is called the rim light. We've talked about this one before on the night scene. We're gonna go Arnold lights. We're gonna do an area light, and we're gonna position this area light like here to the side of the character. It's usually supposed to be placed on the opposite side of your key light. So if that's my key light, I should place it over here. It's going to be a little bit difficult to find like the perfect position. It usually has a really small shape, like the beams are really concentrated. So we're going to have a bigger or a smaller spread. And the reason why we use a rim light is because we want to separate the character from the background. So let's go to like a 10, 15, there we go. That's what we want. That very nice, like illuminated bit on the character. That's what we're going for. I'm actually gonna move this thing like higher up, so we hit the shadows. And sometimes the intensity of the rim light is even bigger than the one from the main light, so that you get this really intense effects. It's literally like a spotlight. So we can play around with that. And I think I'm gonna increase the spread a little bit. It's gonna make this look better, and look at that. We get this very nice effect where we have our main light like showing the whole character. Then we have this rim light, and then we have all of the other lights. Now, one of the important things, as you can see right here, is we're kind of missing something there on the eye. Like, we're missing a little bit of a reflection, because otherwise that eye looks kind of dead. He doesn't have any like textured eyes or anything. So here's again where we can start breaking away from some of like the traditional ways to do things and go into the CG world and say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna add just a super small like circular light right here, and I'm just gonna make this like lighter. Let's do like 20. Of course, that's way too much. Let's bring it down. Let's go to like a 15. Or did I change the material? I'm wondering if I changed the material. No, the material's there. There we go. I mean, we can increase, for instance, on the material right now, it's set to metal. There we go. That was the problem. So let's get rid of the metal. So it's not metal, it's just going to be a reflective surface. There we go. But now you can see that thanks to this extra little light that we added here, it's not really affecting my composition, or at least it shouldn't be that much. And I can bring this even lower to like 12. But it's going to be on the eye. If I were to turn this off, I think we're going to lose a little bit of that effect. It's super subtle, but it's there. It's like a little extra like pixel right there that's helping us with the whole character. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There's one more thing that we can add for this, and this is also going to bring your character renders to the next level. And that's adding a little bit of a backdrop, kind of like framing the character. So for this, we're also going to be using an area light, where we're going to place this area light back here on the back of the character, hidden by the robes or by whatever we have right here. Let's up this like this, and let's do like a 10. Let's lower the spread a little bit. Let's go for like a 15. There we go. See that? We can go even more extreme, like a 17. And it looks like he is like in front of a spotlight, as you can see right here. And it's another way to frame the character. You want to hide this as much as possible, or blink this as close to the possible as to the character, so we don't have this weird shadow right there. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it could make things look a little bit weird. And that's it. That's pretty much it. With this, we have our very traditional 3-point light setup. So, with this, guys, if you know how to use ZBrush, if you know how to model things, I hope that you never have to go back to just like taking a screenshot of your ZBrush viewport or just printing your screen directly from Maya. You now have the tools. Yes, it will take you about 15 minutes, 20 minutes to set it up, but as you can see, you're gonna get such a better render from this. And now, of course, on top of this, we can add our imagers, we can add our denoiser, and we can add our like camera effects, lens effects. In this case, I just want to add a little bit of vignette to, again, frame the character a little bit more. You can see that the denoiser doing its job there really nicely. Let's go to the options here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to render this at 2K square, so it's a little bit more than full HD. And if we go render now, we're going to have way more pixels. Oh, that's not it. Let's go camera shade 1. And there we go. And we have this very cool, clean look at our character. You're going to be doing a lot of those renders because not everyone wants to see a cinematic render where the character is hidden by shadows or there's like a lot of fog. Sometimes you want to show your character just as it is, just like this, like just straight into a super clean light, and that's it. We are going to be doing the cinematic shots. You've already seen those in the intro video, of course. But it's also very important that you guys understand how to do this sort of shots. So in the next couple of videos, we're going to explore, first of all, we're going to go into the camera positions, like the framing that you're going to have, sort of like a visual guide of all of the different cameras that you might get when you're planning your shots. And then we're going to do a couple of more interesting light sources that we can have here on our character. So hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.